but moving back into the earlier topic, right? So we talked about what Blizzard did the best. What do you think they kind of handled the worst in StarCraft 2?
Yeah, I guess let's start with like release, which is like chat channels weren't in the game and a bunch of stuff like that. So this is every games company these days, right? Like there's like core features that are missing on release of full price games. A lot of people like hate the early access model where like games like, oh, we're okay, we're going to be like a $40 game or something, but we're going to kind of start selling it straight away and develop as we go. And sometimes the actual launch is like really a soft launch. It's more like, hey, and sometimes people even get critical and say like, hey, it's basically they're just going to stop deving it now. Launch is actually when it starts dying. But generally it's kind of nice because it's not like, oh, hey, this is a fully finished game. Here's it's $100 or $80, $70, I guess, if you're in US. And bam, it comes out and you can't like talk to your friends in the game and you're like, what? And the BattleNet profiles like are terrible. There's no stats. Everything that was so well done in Warcraft 3, like Warcraft 3, you bloody go on the BattleNet website and it's like, you have a 33% win rate on Lost Temple with Blade Master opening. You're like, holy crap. StarCraft 2 didn't have any statistics. It didn't have anything like that. Your profiles were very, very basic. And yeah, it also didn't have like, I mean, can't remember when they released the different leagues, but it was like steadily they released like Masters and then GM and stuff like that. Only well after release, the ladders were split into this really dumb division system, which they still have, but it no longer takes front and center.
Yeah, it's
Where
not
your
relevant
MMR
anymore.
was invisible. Yeah, like you've still got like people always like, oh, I have 800 bonus pool pig. What does that
Yeah,
mean?
nothing.
It's like, I'm like, it helps you move up your meaningless division.
Yeah.
Your division does not matter. Like it's so, it was this whole kind of like we can't show you what's happening in the game because it'll scare people off. So Blizzard basically had a very big approach in the early years of StarCraft is scary and it's hardcore and we need to make it more friendly by like hiding things and obscuring like what's really happening. But at the end of the day, there was still things like you log in and it's just like 1v1 rankers in front of you. Like they didn't actually have, it wasn't well designed as a gaming experience to funnel people towards team games, there was no co-op in the early days as well, right? So it was very much 1v1 focused. If you look at any modern game, I mean, like I am really hoping Stormgate when it comes out pushes 3v3 super hard because I just think team games are fun and social experiences are great and it can still be an awesome 1v1 experience. But for me, what I've always struggled with in StarCraft is people are like, oh, the game's dying, it's not as popular. RTS isn't as popular. No one wants to play RTS. I'm like, no one ever wanted to play 1v1 RTS. How many friends do you have that played football growing up? Everybody. Everyone played soccer or football or some teams. No one played tennis. No one played golf. No one played the 1v1s. There was one or two kids that you knew at most that would play the 1v1 sports.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same with StarCraft. And I know this because I grew up going internet cafes and there'd be one dude playing Warcraft 3 or StarCraft out of 40 people playing computer games. And occasionally you'd spy another guy, and people would get excited if they saw me with like Warcraft or StarCraft open, and they'd be like, "Let's play!" They'd challenge me. Like, I'll mess you up, man. Let's fight. Let's go. And I'd be like, "Hell's yeah!" Because it was so rare, and that's the golden age of like 2002. Everyone's like, "Oh, RTS is so big at this time." 1v1 competitive RTS was never that big. Campaigns were bigger. Use map settings, fun social modes, silly team games, tower defenses. I don't know. Arcade games, like this crazy one called Defense of the Ancients that came out and apparently is, born its own bloody, offshoot of
Some little
RTS,
scene.
which is what MOBAs are. So yeah, like it's kind of crazy because like it was just it wasn't really designed around that, and I guess that reminds me of their arcade sucked, right? Because they were like, oh, we own everything, right?
Yeah.
You cannot if you make anything in our engine, we've still got a great editor. If you make anything here, we own it because Dota ran away and took our money and we're upset about it. Oh, also, we're going to start trying to shut down StarCraft 1 because they're not paying us any money in Korea as well. So we're going to try and shut down their StarCraft 1 leagues until they agree to pay us royalties or whatever. So StarCraft was embroiled in a lot of legal action over their former mistakes, kind of going, hey, we've got this game mode in Warcraft that millions, tens of millions of people are playing every day. We're just going to kind of look at it and go, hey, we're busy with World of Warcraft. Let's just keep doing that. And then, 5 years later, when another company comes along, Valve, and makes an amazing Dota 2 game and gets all of those community in to do it, Blizzard's like, oh, we want the money now. We want the money. So Blizzard basically made some short-sighted decisions in that regard, and as a result, they ended up saying, "Well, we want to protect our IP. Understandable, you're a corporation, you want to make money." But they also, at the same time, had a really crappy arcade system. I don't even think it was called arcade. I think it was just a bad custom games menu at that point. And they basically alienated the entire map making, use map setting community that made all their previous RTSs as great as they were.
Yeah, that's funny because I feel like with most of the StarCraft One people, they started with almost exclusively those custom maps, and then maybe got into 1v1, but like how many people ended up doing that? Few. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
you
like a 10% at most.
yeah, that might even be generous. Who knows? So one thing you just mentioned that I think is a very interesting question is Blizzard's sort of interaction with the Korean community and more specifically Kespa in the early days. Do you think that